Ready to tee it up NASCAR Now style? I'm your host, Eric Casillas. Let's check out our starting grid. Atlanta's in the books. Jimmie Johnson wins for the second consecutive week. But was there controversy, or was this a clean finish? That's one of the questions we'll ask Kurt Busch, and he'll also explain his biggest concern as he gets into the car of tomorrow this weekend. Plus, not just Kurt, all the guys now have to deal with the biggest in-season change in the history of American sports. It's NASCAR Now. Here we come.
NASCAR Now is presented by Clarendon.
Thanks for stopping into the pit box for this post-race edition of NASCAR Now. I'm Eric Casillas, alongside with my driver Boris Said and my championship crew chief Tim Brewer. Now, Atlanta had the reputation of being wide, fast, and having multiple grooves. So how'd it run? Let's take a look at the highlights. Nextel Cup action, Atlanta Motor Speedway, 325 laps. Mark Martin waving to the crowd beforehand. Now he'll join us in a minute. Kurt Busch driving well. You'll see him pass Martin Truex Jr. on lap 35. Busch would finish 11th at Atlanta. Now on lap 230, that's where it gets interesting. David Rudiman will clip the 16 in turn 1. This pushes Biffle into Brian Vickers. The crash also collects Casey Kane. Rudiman would return, but Biffle out of the race, Casey Kane out of the race, Brian Vickers out of the race.
Now you remember in California, Biffle wrecked David Rudiman, so was that payback? I don't know. If it was, he did a lousy job.
All right, let's get to the nitty-gritty. 3 laps to go. Stewart leading. Jimmie Johnson passes him, and then Tony Stewart will hit the wall, lose his momentum. This allows Jimmie Johnson to hold off Stewart for the final 3 laps. Johnson gets his second straight NASCAR win. He won last week on Vegas. Now, the biggest story coming out of the race seems to be those final 3 laps with Jimmie Johnson and Tony Stewart going head-to-head. Jimmie Johnson came on this program just after the race was over and said the 2 camps had talked and things were okay. But let's hear from the guys.
I could tell where Tony was letting off and where he was picking up the throttle in the corner. And I knew if I was going to catch him, I'd have to drive in further and pick the gas up sooner. And it was before what my sensors, told me I should do. So I just kept creeping into the throttle earlier and earlier and was completely shocked that I was making the turns. I mean, we really were dogging it.
That was everything I had. I didn't leave anything on the table, that's for sure. So nothing else we could do.
It looked like Jimmie pinched into the wall. What was your take on that?
Pretty much what your take was. So it didn't take a rocket scientist to see that. I mean, he dove down in there and it slowed his exit down, and he wasn't clear.
In the center of the turn, I knew that I had position on him and started heading to the outside wall to take my normal lane. And he was coming with the head of steam, and I unfortunately squeezed him up near the outside wall. And it looks like he rushed it a little bit, so I apologize for that.
If I pushed the issue, we both crashed, so it wasn't worth it. I mean, we got a long season to go, and we needed the points today. So he was faster than us. That's why he ran us down in the first place.
Since 2002, nobody's been better than Jimmie Johnson. 184 races. Nobody has more wins, more top 10s, or a better average finish than your champion. He's won more than 13% of all Nextel Cup races in this span. Gordon and Stewart tied for second at just a little more than 9%. So we've seen the highlight, we've heard from the drivers, and now let's bring in our experts. It really comes down to this. Was Jimmie Johnson totally clean by the letter and the spirit of the rules in the last 3 laps? Boris.
Yes, but he's got to understand that Tony Stewart was actually thinking about points that day, because I think if there was 10 races to go in the chase, I don't think Tony Stewart would have given that room. That race could have ended in disaster for Jimmie. But it was an exciting finish.
Exciting. You got 2 of the best in NASCAR. Tony Stewart, Jimmie Johnson. They're coming down the corner. They're wide open. They're doing all they can do, driving as hard as they can drive. 48 comes up just a little bit quick, but hey, he's holding on for dear life, and Tony, he checked up, and it was a result.
So here are your top 8 finishers from Atlanta. You can see the heavyweights. Jimmie Johnson wins, Tony Stewart second, Kenseth third. So 3 of your last 4 champions make up your top 3. 9 through 16 looks like this. Another top 10 for Mark Martin, but he's going to get out of the car this week. Jeff Gordon finishes 12th. He's poised to take over that lead in the point standings. And Junior, his second straight top 15 after starting with 2 DNFs. Now, one name also on that list, Kurt Busch, finished 11th in Atlanta, and he now joins us here at NASCAR Now. Kurt, welcome in. We've been talking about those final laps on Sunday and the Johnson-Stewart duel. What did you think of Jimmy's driving on those final laps?
Well, I think it was great for our sport to see two guys duking it out after 500 miles. That's what people pay tickets for, to get into the grandstands and watch that race live. Now, if we keep hammering down on the way Jimmy drove or the way Tony drove, then it's going to be too clean at the end, and fans aren't going to want to come and watch these races. So we need to absorb what happened, check it out, and then go to the start-finish line to see who won.
So in your mind, was this a clean pass?
You know, in my mind, I don't think we should dwell on it too long, because then we're not going to see racing action at the end of these races. That's what fans pay the tickets for, to come to these races and see. So whether their guy won or their guy didn't win, that's what it's all about, is racing 500 miles and being in contention for a win at the end.
Describe the day for me from your perspective.
Oh man, for our day, we had quite a few things happen, but we did get a chance to lead the race after a green flag pit stop, solid pit stop there. Then we had actually a vibration that felt like, to me, we were going to blow out a right front tire. So I eased off my pace, fell back to about 10th. We did get that tire changed. Then later in the day, we had somebody's windshield tear off, land on our front grille, and started to overheat. So I pulled in behind my little brother and tried to get that tear off to come off the front of the car. Instead of sacrificing to pit, fell back to about 15th. So we clawed our way back up to about 6th, 7th, and then we had a bad pit stop at the end, put us back to 15th again, and worked our way back to 11th. So quite a few things happened all in one day to come out 11th. We feel very proud of that. Our car raced strong. That's what we're proud of.
Kurt, hang in there. We want to hear how you got to turn the tables on one of the most famous guys in the world, and we'll do that. Thank you, Kurt. All right, off and running. Let's see what else we have under the hood. We mentioned Kurt Busch had a chance to judge the ultimate judge. So was he a tough grader? You'll find out what happened.
Probably the language that you understand the best was just bloody awful.
Was it?
To me, it looked like you were looking at a map on your lap and then looking for a dome light that doesn't exist.
And what's the latest on the Dale Jr. contract talks? More discussions, and we'll have your update with our insider. Plus, we give you the best drama and storylines from Atlanta. All that information coming at you ahead. This is NASCAR Now.
NASCAR Now, presented by non-drowsy Claritin D. For long-lasting nasal congestion relief, live Claritin Clear.
Kurt Busch, Michael Waltrip, and Mario Andretti had a chance to judge American Idol straight shooter Simon Cowell for 60 minutes. This after he took the wheel in Las Vegas. Although he's used to giving out the grades, Simon Cowell, for once in his life, had to receive the harsh truth about his driving.
There is that drive and determination and that will and that desire.
There's no it factor. I don't feel any.
Are you saying I'll never be a racing driver?
You are terrible.
The language that you understand the best was just bloody awful.
Was it?
To me, it looked like you were looking at a map on your lap and then looking for a dome light that doesn't exist.
It's just so sad that a man that wants something as bad as you do looks like a drunk going to get more liquor.
Bloody awful. That was outstanding. Kurt Busch back with us here at NASCAR Now. Kurt, how was your experience with Simon Cowell?
It was just that. I mean, he jumped out of the car wearing cowboy boots for all these matters. I mean, he just didn't get it.
How's my time?
Can I go next?
The NASCAR Busch Series at Bristol. Coverage begins Saturday at 2:30 Eastern on ABC.
NASCAR Now, presented by non-drowsy Claritin D. For long-lasting nasal congestion relief, live Claritin Clear.
For your DirecTV Hot Pass, we go to Juan Pablo Montoya after winning the Busch race in Mexico City a couple of weeks back. He continued to impress with Sunday's top 5 at an oval in a Cup event. Oh, by the way, he's still a NASCAR rookie. Almost unlimited potential now for Juan Pablo Montoya. What did he have to say after the race was over?
I loved it. You know, it's a great car today. You know, everybody it was a great job. You know, pit stops, everybody, you know, my Dutch was amazing. Everybody at Texaco Harbelin, Chip Ganassi, my crew guys, you know, my crew chief, everybody just did an amazing job today. And it's, you know, it's nice to get a top 5 here. There were a lot of Colombian flags, and it's just nice.
Top 5 drivers and points remain in the spots they occupied before the race. As you take a look at the Nextel Cup standings, Tony Stewart moved up 7 spots after Atlanta, and he's now 6th. Other drivers new to the top 10, Clint Boyer, Carl Edwards. Jeff Gordon, as we mentioned, is in his same spot at number 2, but what did he think of yesterday's performance? All right, we had action, wide racing, speed, great duel between 2 guys. It was just terrific. It was wonderful. Let's take a look. Let's relive Atlanta. Here's your weekend drive.
43 Busch drivers ready to take the green on St. Patrick's Day. They are locked and loaded in Atlanta.
Just about the time we talk about things getting worse, we're getting really worse.
Oh my goodness, there goes Reed Sorensen up over his left rear tire.
Boy, that was a hard hit. He blew that right front and, man, mangled that wall.
Oh, trouble on the racetrack.
This mishap never happened. You have a chance to win this race.
It's pretty obvious.
This day, Burton will sail out of turn 4 and win his 2nd in a row. Gentlemen, start your engines.
Trouble in turn 3. 4 cars up against the wall.
Right now you've got the cars of Casey Kane involved. Also the car of David Rudin with heavy damage to his car.
Jimmy Johnson growing ever larger in the rearview mirror of Tony Stewart.
2 veterans, Tony Stewart and Jimmy Johnson, battle for the lead going down into turn 3.
This is just vintage Atlanta. Here comes Stewart. They touch. They're side by side. Second win at Atlanta Motor Speedway for Jimmy Johnson.
Great weekend. Now, one of the other storylines after Atlanta is Junior, who still doesn't have a top 10 yet this season. And after the race, here was Junior on his frustration.
I'm just frustrated because I want to run better, and I'm better. You know, we're this team. We're better than what we run today, and just very frustrating. We can't, you know, make that happen. But I really thought, you know, we was going to be strong every weekend, and we had the car pretty good at one point today, but you know, just frustrating really to end up like we did.
We changed everything under the sun on the thing for the race, so to have it even be remotely drivable was pretty good, and they were adjusting on it, making it better. So and we learned a lot today. Just trying to get through these things without having anything tore up at the end of the day, so we can try to get ahead of the game a little bit and just not to be. So it's pretty disappointing.
Lot to choose from. Great weekend of racing, so I'm going to get your final thoughts as we leave Atlanta and start to look forward to Bristol. Boris, I'll start with you.
Well, I mean, it was a ho-hum race. It was a little boring for me, but it ended really exciting. And the performance of Juan Pablo Montoya was simply amazing. But right now, I can't wait till next week. I mean, we're going into the unknown right now at Bristol. I mean, NASCAR came out with this car tomorrow to make small teams competitive. So next week, we're going to see, is that going to be true? Who's going to be competitive? Who got it right? Who is the right spring package? And nobody knows right now, so I think it's going to be exciting.
So Juan Pablo from Atlanta, and looking forward to the car tomorrow. What about you, Tim?
I tell you what, I love the Busch race at Atlanta because, you know, Kyle Busch, he went down there and absolutely dominated. He just didn't win nothing. But anyway, it was a great event. And then you think, well, it's getting a little boring at Atlanta. Hey, they come in there and have a spectacular finish like they had. I'd like to get to Bristol. First one there in the grandstand. I want to watch that deal.
I think Atlanta ends up being kind of the fast, wide, and loose. That's going to do it for us. Back Tuesday, we'll talk to Regan Smith. On behalf of everybody here at NASCAR Now, I'm Eric Casillas. Thanks for watching. Good night.